I'm OAK Swedish Whiskey Girl, and today I'm here with whiskies from the Islay Whisky company, so it'll be very exciting to try these. So first of all, I have to say a massive thank you to Atom Brands for sending me this sample pack, and I can't wait to try these. So what I'm trying today is the Green Isle, I'm trying the Aerolite Lyndsay 10-year-old, I'm trying Grey Seal, and I'm trying the Legend of Fiona Macleod. So one of these is a non-age statement. One is 10 years old and one is 25 and one is 33 years old, so it's a very wide range of these. And they all come in these lovely little tasting packs, the drinks by the drams. They're available on Master Malt if you're curious about them. I think for a really good price as well, $29.99. You get 2 drams of Aerolite Lyndsay, you get one of the other 3, so you get a 25-year-old and a 33-year-old in that tasting. And the best thing is you get a QR code which you can scan on your phone, and you get a link to a YouTube video where you can watch the tasting whenever it suits you. And I just watched it today, and it's a stunning imagery of Scotland and of course of Islay, and then it's Dr. Whiskey, Sam Simmons, who talks you through it, and he has a very calm and nice voice to listen to, and he just tells you a bit of the background on each of these. And of course they are a company I really like because it seems like they put a lot of heart into their whiskies, which I really like. So the first one, which we'll of course start with, which is the Green Isle. This is a 40% ABV, and it's more of kind of a welcome to Islay whiskey. So it's not heavily peated, but it has like a whiff of smoke. The second one we're going to go into is Aerolite Lyndsay, which I've actually tried before and was really pleasantly surprised by. This is a 46% ABV, and of course Aerolite Lyndsay is the acronym for 10-year-old Islay, so that's what you're getting. Grey Seal is a 25-year-old, and it's from an undisclosed distillery, just like Aerolite Lyndsay and the Legend of Fiona Macleod, but these 3 last ones, they're all single malts, and the Green Isle is a blended Scotch. And of course the Legend of Fiona Macleod, which we're going to end up on, is a 33-year-old single malt from Islay. So I'll be excited to try them all. And before we start, I'm just going to say that if you're looking for this tasting pack, like I said earlier, I put that links in the description below, and it's my affiliate link, so if you want to support me at the same time, I would of course be absolutely thrilled if you would consider using that. But let's start on the Green Isle. Quite a fruity nose. That's the first thing you kind of notice. But it does have this kind of lovely, like it's like the fruit is surrounded by smoke. And the fruitiness is also mixed with like a forest vibe. So something like green, planty and oaky. And the fruitiness is very fresh. It's like a mixture of like plums and pears almost. And the smoke is very soft. It's like a little touch. So imagine just coming to Islay and a little whiff of smoke just touches you and goes, hello. But yeah, let's have a taste. Slàinte mhath. Yeah, fruity on the palate as well. And then on the finish you get a bit of oakiness, a tiny little like soft, graceful smoke. But it's very fruity. I think it's that kind of plums and pears mixture. This is very fresh. A bit of spice. It's a very good entry level. It's not entry level. It's a good whiskey. But if you're getting into smoky whiskies, this is like a very friendly hello, because it's very softly peated. This is always what's so surprising. When I tried the Aerolite Lyndsay as well, at the time when I tried it, I wasn't really. I think it was right after I did my Islay week on YouTube, so I was a little bit like smokeful. I was like, oh yeah, I just want to go back to something unpeated at the moment, and then I'll come back to the smoky whiskies next week maybe. And I tried it. I was so surprised by how it wasn't. It was so different in a really good way, and it was very satisfying to drink. And it was just like, oh, it was almost like a new experience, even though you've tried other whiskies that are similar, but it's just like, it's not what you're expecting. I think that's what it is, and which makes it very surprising and in a really good way. And with that said, let's move on to Aerolite Lyndsay, this 10-year-old Islay whiskey from an undisclosed distillery. And of course, everyone loves having a wee guess at what it is. Have you tried it? What do you think it is? On the nose, it's more maritime. It definitely has a smoke in it. It's like a smoke mixed with pineapple. And the smoke is also quite dry. Like dry in a way it feels almost ashy. But the pineapple's like making it feel denser. Like the sweetness and the fruitiness from the pineapple makes it feel denser. Because generally the way I perceive smoke is if it's dry and ashy, it feels very light and very kind of like it just floats around. But yeah, let's have a little sip. Angela? I mean, it's a lovely burst of smoke. It has this lovely spice underneath, but the first thing they get you is quite juicy. It's almost like that kind of pineapple peaches almost, like that kind of fruitiness, really fresh as well. But then you get this kind of the spice is landing and just kind of coats your palate and leaves you with this kind of warming sensation with a bit of spice still lingering on your tongue. And that smokiness just feels like a nice spicy bonfire. I don't usually describe smoke as spicy bonfire, but this one is. There's something green in there, but very mouth-watering, which I really appreciate in an Islay whiskey because I don't want the smoke to make the dram too dry, which is my personal preference, of course, but it has a very juicy element, and that is so satisfying. And I know people might not be so keen always on buying Islay whiskies from an undisclosed distillery where you don't know what it is. But I really appreciate this whiskey, and I mean the anagram thing makes me like it even more. Like Sam Simmons behind this whiskey and the others, of course, as well. He does some really fun things with whiskey, but it's not to the cost of the quality of the whiskey, I don't think personally. And I really appreciate that. I think this is lovely. I think if you like a juicy Islay whiskey, you would like this. And at 10 years old, it still has a lot of smoke left. And it's not as dry on the palate as it is on the nose in a way. But yeah, a juicy Islay, that's all I want. And now we're gonna get to Grey's Eel, and I'm so sad because when I lifted it up, I just noticed I had nothing left, or almost nothing. And I don't know why, because these are wax sealed. So I'm like, who's opened this? Did I open this and then didn't close it properly? Anyways, I have a little bit left, so I'm very happy I get to try that at least. Because this is of course a 25-year-old from an undisclosed Islay distillery, and this sits at 48% AV. Also, what I noticed when I listened to the tasting, the fun thing is that they don't tell you these little quirky things. And I don't know if it is a quirky thing. I would think so, but so it's called Grey's Eel. And what happens to be an animal a little bit like grapes and a little bit of mango and maybe like a slight hint of lemongrass, but it's what you would kind of want from an older Islay. It has a whiff of smoke, but it's very mature smoke. So of course you might know this already, but if you have a cask that's quite active or you mature for a really long time, you get less smoke because the oak character kind of takes over the smoke. So if you want a really, really smoky whiskey, the younger it kind of is, the better. But this is very, very well aged. You get the smoke, but it's very, that tropical density alongside the smoke is really, really lovely. This kind of whiskey I just wish I had and I could just sip all the time. Because I mean, it's a 25-year-old, so I really, really appreciate what it is. And of course, the thing that you don't get the chance to try that often probably makes you appreciate it really a lot more. I'm not gonna have another sip of that because I know my boyfriend probably wants to try it a lot, so I'm gonna be very nice and save that for him. But yummy. I'm gonna have a look at what that bottle is, because yeah. Or maybe the Aerolite Lyndsay, because it's such a juicy Islay. But okay, let's try the legend of Fiona Macleod. So this was distilled in 1985. And this of course is a time, and we're in Scotland and on Islay. It was quite a hard time for distilleries. A lot of them were mothballed, and yeah, a lot kind of had to shut down, or if they were mothballed, then hopefully they would get reopened later on. So it's very fascinating being able to try a whiskey from that time, a 33-year-old, which is bottled at 46.3. And it's, when you link the kind of historical moments to the whiskey, I think it's really lovely. Oh, and I forgot to say, the Grey Seal is matured exclusively on American oak. Thing with really sharp edges, and then time will just kind of soften those edges. But it's like you have this really soft ball, but in the middle there's something that just want to kind of burst out, and that's the smoke. It's kind of playing with you a bit. It's like a summer bonfire, but towards ashy and sooty. Interesting. Let's have another sip of the Aerolite Lyndsay, because that's the other smokier one. Can I compare? Oh, this is so much more ham and meat on the nose now. Still so juicy on the palate. Hmm. The 33-year-old almost feels smokier in a way because it's drier and ashier. So it just leaves this. I think the juiciness of Aerolite Lyndsay kind of masks the bigness of the smoke a little bit. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love that. And then on the 33-year-old, which is of course good because if you want to retain the smoke, then having that kind of ashy city style means that you'll experience it more. I'm going to have another sip of the Green Isle as well. Just compare after these Islay whiskies, because of course Islay whiskies, because especially these peated ones, because they're so, the smoke is such a big flavour, it tends to kind of almost numb your palate a little bit. Yeah, the Green Isle is so approachable, so friendly, so fruity. But that kind of same fruity, like juicy, fruity freshness. I still think it holds up after the Islay whiskies, which I thought it might be a little bit thinner, but it's still like lovely whiskies, well done. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm impressed. It's 4 great whiskies, and the good thing is you get 2 of the Aerolite Lyndsay, so either you can have 2 that you drink yourself, or you can give away 1 to your friend and see what they think. Okay, now the difficult thing. Do I have to choose a favourite? I want to say Aerolite Lyndsay because it just surprised me, even again after trying it the last time, which is at an independent bottling tasting where we had an absolutely gorgeous 18-year-old Bunnahabhain. But I still think the Aerolite Lyndsay is, if you like juicy Islay whiskies, it's a great one. If you like smoky whiskies, that's a good one to have in your shelves, especially. I think that could be a good gateway. Like, I started with Islay whiskies because I started with smoky whiskies. So I think someone who just likes smoked meats or something could just enjoy this, and it would be great along cheese, like along meats, along a barbecue. I'm just fangirling Aerolite Lyndsay at the moment, but it's yeah, I think it's a really good Islay whiskey. I would of course love to hear from you. If you've tried any of these whiskies, have you got the tasting set? Maybe you've tried along with me during this video. What are your thoughts? Do you think the same as me? Do you think differently? Is there one you don't like? Is there one you absolutely love? Please let me know. And of course, if you like what I'm doing here on YouTube and on my other social channels, I would of course be absolutely thrilled if you would consider using my affiliate links, and of course especially with Master of Malt. I'll put all of that information in the description here below, as well as links to my website, my Instagram, my Patreon, where I post some exclusive content and previews and sneak peeks. And my Patreon is of course really important when it comes to making decisions on what videos to do next. I've also put a link to my new Teespring shop if you're looking for whiskey merch. But I of course hope you've had an absolutely wonderful day. Slán Skål!